Imagine waking up one morning and realizing that the world you know is about to disappear. No warning, no countdown, no way to stop it. Something is already moving toward Earth, and by the time anyone notices, it is far too late. This sounds like the beginning of a movie, but something similar has happened before. And one event in Earth's history came terrifyingly close to changing the future of our entire species. Today, there are more than 8 billion humans alive on this planet. We build cities, launch rockets, cross oceans, and send machines into space. It feels like humanity is permanent. But it isn't. Our existence depends on a chain of events that could have broken at almost any point. Millions of years before the first cities appeared, our ancestors were fighting simply to survive. They were not powerful. They were not intelligent enough to control the planet. They were small animals living in a world filled with predators, changing climates, and disasters they could never understand. And then, one of the biggest threats in Earth's history arrived. It started with something almost impossible to notice: a tiny change in the sky. Far above the planet, an enormous object was approaching Earth at incredible speed. It had been traveling through space for millions of years, completely unaware that an entire species would one day depend on whether it hit the planet or missed it. And then there were the moments when humanity came closer to disappearing than most people realize. One of the most frightening examples happened around 74,000 years ago. A massive volcanic eruption occurred in what is now Indonesia. The eruption was so enormous that it created one of the largest volcanic events known to science. Ash and volcanic material were thrown high into the atmosphere. The climate changed dramatically. Temperatures dropped. Sunlight was reduced. Ecosystems were disrupted across enormous distances. And humans were already here. Our ancestors had survived for hundreds of thousands of years, but suddenly the world around them was changing. Food became harder to find. Plants struggled. Animals disappeared from familiar territories. The environment that had supported human populations was becoming unpredictable. And this is where the story gets interesting. Scientists have debated how severe the population collapse was. Some theories suggest that human numbers may have fallen dramatically, while newer research suggests the situation was more complicated. But there is something we can be certain about. Our ancestors survived. Somewhere, groups of humans were still hunting, gathering, protecting their children, and finding ways to stay alive while the planet around them changed. They didn't know they were surviving an event that would become part of human history. They just knew they had to make it through another day. And that pattern appears again and again throughout our history. Humanity has survived enormous climate changes. Long periods of extreme cold, droughts, floods, diseases, famine, wars, and countless disasters that could have destroyed individual populations completely. But perhaps the strangest part is that humans didn't survive because we were the strongest animals. We weren't. A tiger is stronger. A bear is stronger. Many animals can run faster than us. Many have better senses. Humans survived because we could cooperate, we could communicate, we could remember what worked, and most importantly, we could pass that knowledge to the next generation. A group of humans could lose almost everything and still rebuild because someone remembered where water could be found. Someone knew which plants were safe. Someone knew how to make a weapon. Someone knew how to start a fire. Someone knew where to hide when danger came. Knowledge became our survival tool. And then something extraordinary happened. Instead of simply surviving the environment, humans began changing it. We learned to control fire. We developed better tools. We hunted together. We created shelters. We crossed rivers and mountains. Eventually, humans left Africa and spread across the planet. Every step was dangerous. Every new environment brought new problems. But humans kept moving. And that's why the idea of humanity almost ending is so powerful. Because it reminds us that the modern world is incredibly recent. For almost all of human existence, there were no hospitals, no supermarkets, no electricity, no police, no internet, no emergency services. If a disaster destroyed your food supply, there was no delivery coming tomorrow. You had to survive with whatever was around you. And yet our ancestors kept going, generation after generation, until eventually their descendants built the world we live in today. Think about how strange that is. The fact that you are alive right now means an unbroken chain of people survived every disaster that came before you. Every ancestor had to survive long enough to have children. Every generation had to find food, avoid predators, survive disease, survive environmental changes. And somehow, the chain continued. Break it once, at any point, and you wouldn't be here. Your family wouldn't be here. Billions of other people wouldn't be here. The cities around you wouldn't exist. The languages we speak wouldn't exist. The technology in your hands wouldn't exist. None of it was guaranteed. And that may be the most important lesson hidden inside this story. Humanity was never destined to survive. We survived because, again and again, ordinary people found a way through extraordinary situations. They didn't know what the future would look like. They couldn't see the cities their descendants would build. They couldn't imagine satellites orbiting Earth or humans walking on the moon. They simply protected the people beside them and tried to make it to tomorrow. And tomorrow became another day, then another, until hundreds of thousands of years later, you were born. So when you look at the modern world, remember something. Human civilization may feel enormous, but compared with the history of Earth, it is incredibly fragile. The planet has survived impacts, eruptions, ice ages, extinctions, and environmental catastrophes. Life has repeatedly been pushed to the edge, and humans are just one chapter in that story. The strange part is that our chapter almost never happened. Somewhere in the distant past, a small group of frightened humans survived a world that seemed determined to eliminate them. They kept moving, they kept learning, they kept protecting their children. And eventually, those survivors became us. You are not here because humanity was guaranteed to win. You're here because somewhere along the line, someone survived, and then someone survived after them, and then someone after them. For thousands of generations, the chain never completely broke, and that is why one of the most incredible stories in human history isn't the story of how we conquered the world. It's the story of how close we came to never seeing it at all.